Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Song of New Covenant Academy. Today I'm joined by three young ladies, three alums of New Covenant Academy, and they've been helping us out during summer months as well. But I thought it would be interesting to hear their story and their experience about college. So I wanted to first of all ask you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll start from there. So go ahead.
My name is Johan Jadro. I am a recent American University graduate, class of 2024, with a BA in International Relations with a specialization in Global Inequality and Development.
Sounds like you've done this before.
Yes.
Okay, all righty. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Akuri Patel. I'm a graduate from Whittier College, and I majored in biology and minored in chem.
Okay, and Gabs?
Hi, my name is Gabriela Carpio. I'm a current Wheaton College student, and I'm majoring in religious and theological studies.
Wow, okay, so thank you. I was going to say I'm Occidental College, but then again, that was a long time ago. So, by any standard, New Covenant Academy is a small school. And we emphasize the strengths of being in a smaller school, which is building relationships and having direct access to teachers and able to collaborate with your classmates. Now, you went to a fairly large school. So AU's student population is?
I would say right under 10,000.
Wow, okay, so
students.
it's not the largest school, but it still belongs in the large school category. You guys are Division I school, right?
Yeah, we're Division I, like basketball, volleyball, but it's still a small field because I had like 20, 25 kids in some of my classes.
AU Eagles.
Yes.
Eagles, correctly. So what was the largest freshman class size that you were in?
I'm going to say probably like close to 100.
Oh, 100.
But it was like a
That's not bad.
Not really. It was like a freshman seminar online, and we broke up into different like groups. So like my group was 20.
And we also have to be mindful of the fact that when you went to college, it was COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did that take you back? How long were you in a remote learning?
I was in a remote learning for my full freshman year. However, I moved onto campus February 2021. So I was still on campus, but I had online classes. But I was still like in the university setting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you went to campus to do face-to-face learning sophomore year?
Yeah, sophomore year. We started August 2021.
Okay, all righty. Now yours is a small private college.
It is a private.
Whittier Poets.
Poets, correct.
Just for the record, Occidental College and Whittier Poets, we used to play football together. I was in the football team, and we used to fight. Did you know what we used to fight for? Do you know what the trophy is called?
No, I have no idea.
It's the shoe. It's a shoe trophy, okay? And that probably will deserve another episode. But so your school was what, 1,000 students or so?
1,000
Okay,
students,
so
yeah.
when I went to college at Occidental, it was 85, 84, and it was we had 1,600 students. Oxy currently has 2,000, but any school that's fewer than 3,000 is considered a small school.
Yeah.
So you went to a small college.
Small college, yeah.
And what was that like? What was your big class? What's the largest class that you've been in?
I would say my biggest size was around 30. Yeah, so we didn't have a big class. Even during our freshman year, we were all broken into like around 20, 25 in the beginning as well. But yeah, it wasn't too big.
So you get to know the professors, you get to know. Yeah.
It was a really good relationship to have, even with our advisors. We still talk to our advisors even to this day.
Yeah.
We'll go see them, we'll help them out with whatever they need.
Yeah, I'm sure your experience and my experience are very similar.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I think I still have a few professors in my time are still alive, and I know what they do, and when they retire, I get to say, congratulations to them, and I've been in their offices. I've had meals with them off campus. One professor, Dr. Chan in college, he liked me, and he said, hey. He had a heavy Chinese accent because he was a Chinese Asian culture professor. He goes like, if you ever need a car to go on a date, I could lend you a car. I'm like, what? Because he had a Porsche. He had a Porsche. I should have taken him up, but I never did. But that's a different story. I got a lot of stories I want to tell.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Gabby, you had a very interesting experience. You were going to go to UC Riverside,
Right.
Okay, which is one of the largest universities in the country, and you chose to go to a private Christian university, classical education at King's College. Okay, and now this was actually smaller than our school in the sense You had, what, how many professors did you have at King's College?
Total?
Yeah.
Like 30.
30 professor, and you had about 120 students.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So probably your classes are what? The largest class was what, 10, 15? 8. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
now that's,
yeah.
this is highly unusual.
Right.
I don't think there are too many schools that are like this. So you probably felt very much at ease and almost like being here.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. So, but all of you guys moved away from home. You lived on campus.
I was on campus for my first year, and then COVID hit, so I had to move back, and my whole sophomore year was pretty much online. And then our beginning junior year, we would go back on campus.
Okay,
Yeah.
alrighty. So you lived on
campus.
On campus,
Yeah.
dorm.
Dorm, yes.
Campus dorm.
It's sort of.
Sort of?
It's New York City, so
New
we
York-
had
well,
apartments.
Right,
but
New York apartments and
Yeah.
Tenley
I'm on
campus?
every single year.
Tenley campus.
Well, it was. We go to school on the Tenley campus, but then I was like all over. Like I was in Let's for like the freshmen, and then I moved to like the newer, which were like suite style. And then
I
I
see.
moved to like apartment style, but it was all AU housing.
Well, Oxy and AU had this Oxy and DC program where I know that AU is like a host school to have all these students from all over the country and even world come to AU for a semester. So I did a semester study at AU. Took classes at nighttime, and we had internships in the normal days. And I lived on Tenley campus for 6 months. You know, one semester. So that's all I know. Tenley campus. Okay.
It's still the same.
It's still the same. And I visited, you know, a few months ago, and it's still the same. So you all moved away from home. What was that like? Were you scared? Were you excited? Were you happy? Were you sad? Did you feel all of these emotions? Gabby, what was it like to be in New York?
Exciting.
Exciting.
But overwhelming.
Overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Right, New York is
totally different from LA lifestyle. And as a student in New York City, it's different from the average college experience as well.
Right.
We didn't have meal plans. We lived in apartments, so we had to do our cooking and everything. So it was very like, boom, adult. All of a sudden, just college and figure it out.
Wow.
So it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when I visited NYU with my daughter, when Tiffany was considering going to NYU, we were driving by and we're like, where's the university? Because the school's all built into the buildings, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, there are no perimeters, no boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, what about Whittier? Cozy, private, family-like?
It was very family-like for sure. Like every day you see the same people over and over again. For breakfast too, you would sit, meet new people.
Yeah.
For lunch and dinner as well.
Yeah.
It was family style for sure. It was a scary transition, even though it was like an hour away from home. But like to finally be an adult and have your own responsibilities, it was a scary transition, but it was worth it. For sure.
And now you went all the way across
I went as far as
the continent.
It was honestly, it was an amazing experience. I think the first year being online, it forced me to really like try and be as social as I could, but I realized that being in a pandemic setting, nobody knew how to communicate, nobody knew how to socialize, so it was very awkward. Like people didn't know how to talk to people. It was all texting. It was great. I really, really loved DC. I made so many friends.
DC is a wonderful city.
I love DC. Like I would live there and stay there. And if I settle down, probably Maryland, because a little older, want to settle down. But I loved it. It wasn't really as difficult. Like I definitely, obviously, like missing my parents, and my sister, and my family. But other than that, it was okay.
Okay.
It was great.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So when you first set foot on campus and you were going to classes, how well do you think NCA prepared you for college? Now you could dissect it in multi-dimensions, right? Like academically, were you ready academically? Socially, were you ready? Relationally, were you ready? Emotionally, were you ready? So you could talk about different dimensions, but how well do you think our school, NCA being a college prep school, how well do you think you were prepared to be on campus? Anyone?
Academically, I was very prepared. I would say I was more prepared than a lot of my classmates. Like having the IAs with IB, the extended
Okay, so you need to explain IAs
Oh,
because most people. Now, I know you know one thing we have to say: the IB program has lots of acronyms. Too many acronyms. So
like the IAs, the
internal assessments,
which were just long papers.
Right.
The extended essay, because I was the DP candidate, so that long 10-page paper. When I got to college, and they're like,
actually it's 14.
14. Oh yeah, actually 14. When I got to college and my professor was like 5-page paper, I'm like,
right, whipping it up 5 pages. It's you just whip it up,
Like everything, the sources got it, footnotes got it, and then my classmates were like, oh my god, this is so difficult. I need like 2 weeks. I was like, what? I was shocked.
You probably saw students, and probably you guys too, those who did not know how to do footnotes and citations and bibliography.
Didn't realize how common that was. They were struggling with that.
No, well, we'd be like, in 8th grade, 9th grade, you better have it down, but
And I asked my professor, MLA or APA or Chicago, and it was easy.
Right.
I would say socially though, that was a little bit tough, but the only reason it was tough was because it was a huge culture shock.
Sure.
Like going to DC was a huge culture shock because I grew up in Koreatown. I grew up celebrating Korean holidays. I grew up like Korean classmates, like everything was Korean.
I still remember Jaehan one day when she was young, she realized, you mean I'm not a Korean? She actually cried.
Like
I remember that.
Crisis.
Yeah.
So then going to DC, it was like I see people, like I see everybody, and I'm like, I'm like the first group I joined, Korean Student Association.
But you know, like AU is known as like a Jewish American princess school, you know, so it's got that feel to it. But okay. What was your experience like?
I would say academically, the school prepared me a lot, especially with biology. I wouldn't expect it, but
do you have to go like, ooh, Mr. Torres?
Yes, for sure. Mr. Torres helped a lot. All the topics, like it was still more in depth in college, I would say, but all the topics I was very familiar with. And for other people, it was like, oh, why are we learning this? Or like, what is this topic? They were very unfamiliar with the topic. So for me, it was a shock because I at least went through like the basics of it already. And for everyone else, it was new to them.
So your shock is not about the school, but how ill-prepared the other students appeared.
For sure, yeah. Okay. And for them, they had to work even harder because not only did they not know like the hard part about it, but they didn't even know the basics of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of sad to hear that, you know, when you're in college and you're taking biology or natural sciences or courses related to that, you expect people to have excelled in it by the time they got there, but you're saying they don't know the basics. Now, then you went to a classical Christian education. Tell us about the classical Christian education. What is that about?
It's very similar to NCA's like schooling system. It's very discussion oriented, and you're there for the thought. Like you're there to think for yourself, not to regurgitate information. So I saw a lot of the AP students really struggle with that. Whereas for me, I can take an argument, dissect it, give you my points, bring in my arguments and different sources, and to have a discussion with it, and I can give you an argument and be confident about what I'm saying.
And you back it up with evidence, and
I can this is what is needed in the real world. And a lot of the AP students really struggled with that.
Now, I've heard this about the AP students, that they would approach professors and say this, and don't laugh too hard, will this be on the test?
Yeah.
So they're saying, if it is, I'm going to memorize it.
Right.
If it's not, I'm just going to move on. Right? Whereas I think the idea is you have no idea what the professor is going to be asking you. And when they give you questions, I mean, you think about your history IB exam. They give you like a political cartoon and so they ask you to write about it for 3 hours, right? So then you have to think. I mean, you sit there and you plan your writing, right? You think about it. And say, for example, if this political cartoon was presented to you, let's go with the common image, Rosie the Riveter, right? Rosie the Riveter. When, who, what, when, where. That's not the issue. It's about what is that? What does that represent? Say, what about women? What is the role of women in that culture? We're going much deeper. We're like college students in high school, going deeper and deeper. And you go through so many iteration of this that by the time you go to college and the professors throw this out at you, you're like, I got this. Yeah?
For sure.
And you never say like, will this be on the test?
Yeah. I had an instance where like a classmate asked that, and the professor got really upset. He said, if it wasn't important, I wouldn't be wasting my year.
Oh, well, okay.
And that was
okay.
the best thing. So I was like,
little snappy, but I get it. Okay. Alrighty. So, given your experience, I'm still amazed at the fact that you guys have graduated. You're moving on with your life, and I know that you had a little hiccup with your school because of the school closure at King's in New York, but you'll be at Wheaton. And when you think about your time at college, and when you connect that with your preparation and time at NCA, what advice would you give to the students that are here, and maybe students who are in elementary and middle school who may watch this video years down the line? Sort of imagine like, our winter camp when you get the microphone and you're the seniors and you have to tell the rest of the students, say, listen to your teachers, do what they tell you to do, or like, make sure you finish your homework on time. Well, beyond that, what advice would you give to your younger siblings on campus? Is this a hard question?
I mean, I do have a brother on campus.
You do have a brother. Hyro's here.
Yeah, so I tell him constantly, like, you're not going to always have people worry and care as much as they care now.
Yeah.
And have all the teachers at NCA genuinely care.
Right.
And give you the support and the tools. You have all the tools set up in front of you, and it's literally up to you to take them and really use them. Because you're not going to get that. Really, it's really rare to find that outside. And once you have, like, grown up in this environment, it just makes life so much easier. And once you like take advantage of all the tools given to you, you're just doing yourself a favor, basically.
Now, I do want to kind of take a bite on that. We're not here to be crutches to the students. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
The support that we're providing is not to answer your questions and do your work for you, right? Or to baby you, but it is about working with you, right? Being next to you to guide you. I think of it as like, well, we're here to, we have a saying within the school that among teachers, we call ourselves coaches, basically. We're here to coach. But the battle, the game, it's the students who have to go and fight and they have to play the game. We're not. We're on the sidelines saying, you could do this, you could do that, or perhaps you could do this, perhaps you could do that. But we could never go into the game. Like, we can't write your paper. We can't take your exam. We can't do this work for you. But they are there. Right? They are there to help you if you have questions. So I'm always intrigued as to why some students would approach the teachers and some don't. And I think it may be personality, it may be familiarity, but also maybe in the past they were at a school where they could be just kind of kept in the back and nobody knows where he or she is and they could just kind of glide by. I don't know, but there are various reasons. But the fact is the availability of teachers and what they are willing to do for you is here. What advice would you give?
I would say definitely make an effort to talk to your professors and have a relationship with them, because that was the biggest thing that I appreciated at NCA, where like I came back, I'm working for NCA, and they're helping me a lot, like you as well, Dr. Song, you guys were a big help. And even in Whittier College, like right now, I built that relationship my freshman year because I was used to it at NCA. And now when I'm graduated, they're helping me out, like with
It's
jobs.
shocking, isn't it? Right? Like when you need references or rec letters, or they're readily available. I don't know if I ever told you guys, after graduating from Oxy, I took a year off and then I applied to UCLA in political science for a doctoral program. And when I got in, one of the professors who was on the acceptance committee approached me and said, "Are you Jason Song?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he says, you know what he said? This is exactly what he said. "You should go thank your professors who wrote your rec letters." They wrote glowing letters, and I remember what they said. I'm like, whoa. But I know that they had an impact, not only in college days, but even when I moved on. And they celebrated with me when I got into the program. And they said, any questions you have, feel free to come and visit. And I visited them quite frequently thereafter. So the relationship. What do you think? What advice would you give our current or future students at NCA about college and how NCA works or prepares them?
It might sound a little like crazy, but I would say act dumb.
I don't know if you could say
no,
crazy.
Act dumb. That's the advice but I'll explain. So
wait, did you just say act dumb?
Like act dumb. So when I was going to college, when I said act dumb, and I didn't really understand what he meant. But then when I got into college, I started asking questions. And I'm not saying that people that ask questions are dumb, but I didn't go into college acting like I knew everything.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I went in to learn, and it was by learning, by asking questions, by really just letting people teach me and being open to criticism, being open to advice, that I actually went a lot further than I think I did.
So if I'm catching what you're saying, did you find a lot of other students who almost needed to act like they know it all?
Oh my God, it's DC. Everyone, you go into class, everyone knows everything about foreign policy, domestic policy. And it's like, I had classmates go to my professor and say, no, you're wrong. Like
to the professors?
To the professor.
Wow.
During class. Like, no, that's wrong. And I think what separated me and my relationships with my professors was that I would say, I disagree with this, but here's why I disagree with it.
Okay, which is what we do here all the time.
Like, that idea of like being inquisitive.
Yeah.
So my professor would be like, that's interesting, here's how I see it. And I'd be like, oh, can you show me where you found that? Or like, I would ask more questions to show that like I want to learn.
Yeah.
Because I don't know everything. To this day, I don't know everything. But being able to, my dad said it, so like act dumb was really just like, you don't know everything. When you go somewhere, you ask questions and you're willing and open to help and to criticism specifically, because a lot of times you can get one bad grade and you break down, you say, I'm bad at this, I'm not, like I give up. Or you have that growth mindset where it's like, I see that I got a bad grade, let me go talk to my professor, let me go talk to my teacher, what can I do better?
Right.
And
learn from your mistakes.
Exactly, like that. I think, and like being able to fail and like learning that it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It's like when my parents would come to PTA meetings and they'd be like, what extra work can she do? I used to hate hearing that. But then, looking back at it now, I'm like, what, that actually helped me. But I hated that because it was my parents.
I want to say on the record that they're growing up. My babies are growing up. But I think you understand now. I don't. Okay, this is a whole nother topic, but about parents and relationships and such. But that adults in your life when you're young, they try to help you. They try to get you to point A from point A to point B. But I think a lot of times young students don't know why point B is necessary, right? But going back to your college experience, I'm always dumbfounded by students, and even when I was lecturing at UCLA, why they would have to stomp on others by acting like they know everything. Because clearly, there's an ancient Korean saying, which I learned when I was young, is that when the rice stalk grows and if it matures, it bends its head. So that's a sign of humility, right? So the sign of maturity and humility is having the patience and the willingness to hear, especially professors. I mean, I'm having a hard time processing students who would call professors out and say, I mean, there are times and places for that, but in general, these guys are people who have spent their entire life on those topics, right? And they would probably take personal offense for somebody who would like, I don't think you're right, you know? 100%. And especially if they can't back it up, right? Whereas at NCA, we're especially the IB program, and even in the pre-IB years, it's about, why do you think that way, right? And what evidence do you have? TOK. What is it? What is a TOK? Like, what's the most important question?
To what extent?
And also, how do you know?
Yeah.
Well, what's your evidence, right? How do you know what you know? Tell me your evidence. So let me investigate, and I'll tell you what I think with my evidence. That's how knowledge grows, and I think that is sorely missing in virtually every school that I know, because they're all about passing exam scores and getting high scores to get you into college, whereas we've been always talking about, you're going to get into college. You're going to go into some good college, right? And then you're going to have your choice. But the question is, what will you do there? Meaning, not only do you survive there, but will you thrive there? That's kind of a phrase I use all the time. So I think today, there's great kernels of truth that you guys shared, and I wish we would continue to have a conversation like this, because who knows, this could be the NCA view, you know? the four regular people who's going to do this. Even when you're at Wheaton, we could use technology to zoom in. I'm actually having a great time doing this. So today we had our NCA, 3 graduates of NCA, and they share some of their experience about being here, going to college, what they experienced. Though each person has gone to different school, different size school, different location, ultimately what you faced was challenging yet doable and manageable because you were prepared well. And I hope our viewers could really understand the significance of the IB education and significance of having teachers who are willing to work with you and give you multiple opportunities to learn, growth mindset, you know, the 12 mindset of the IB, the inquisitive, the international, all of those, you know, those aren't just kooky concepts. They're there for a reason. Yeah? So hope you guys now, as you come back and work with our students, I know that some of the comments that you guys have been telling them are stuff that I used to say. So that means you're getting old, okay? Just accept it. Accept it. You're getting older. That's all there is to it. So I want to thank you, ladies, for joining this podcast and sharing your experience. And I hope that our viewers would take the kernels of what we talked about, and especially parents and students, think about what they shared and how much impact the school education that provided by NCA has helped them to get to the next level. And I really look forward to what the future holds for them. So thank you for joining us today. This is Dr. Sung. This is
Jahan.
Akuri.
Okay, the possible NCA view crew saying bye now.